All right, guys, let's get right into it. Grab a kettlebell. Probably lighter is best, but if you're up to it, go up-ended. Hold it like this, and we'll just do some circles around the head. Warming up the shoulders. That's the name of the game today, shoulder mobility. We'll have another video on shoulder stability soon, and we'll talk about those probably in a whole other video of why mobility versus stability, what's the difference, where should you start, all that fun stuff. Hope you like the shirt. Shout out to my brother who got this one for me. Oh. So a couple directions, or a couple each direction, I guess is the proper way. Nice and stiff this morning, but that's the point of this workout. Get the shoulders loosened up for the week. So the name of the game with mobility is changing the tissue. We're trying to bring it past its normal end range of motion, and that's going to make changes over time. If there's an injury, that can make things worse. And you might be more in the stability category. Kind of feeling it out, so I'm just kind of going one way over the other, feeling for that restriction. We're not just mindlessly doing circles for the sake of doing circles. Feel where that stiffness is in your shoulders. Try to loosen it up. Push into that binding, that restriction. The weight is there to help you, and that's why we're using a kettlebell. And there's a lot of reasons why I like a kettlebell for this one. So that should warm those shoulders up nice. Of course, you can do this without the kettlebell, but the kettlebell is actually designed to, like if somebody does a squat, for me, it just feels kind of stiff, having some trouble getting through. But a little kettlebell, a little extra weight, 35 pounds, all of a sudden I can just drop down nice and easy. We're gonna notice that in a couple of these positions. I'm going to the grass here. Another way I've done these is without the kettlebell, but the stance gets a little too long. It's the stance of very close. That's gonna help us hit thoracic mobility, which is tied to our shoulder mobility. So we'll start with the more stiff shoulder today. Same with you. If you got a side that's a little stiffer, not painful, you don't want to push it. If it hurts, don't do this. So I'm not going to go through how to do swings and everything. That's stuff you should already know going into this. Stretching. So we'll go into this nice snatch position. Get overhead. Maybe you need to do a few of those. Maybe letting the head drive forward. Let that stretch out. So we're gonna go opposite leg back. So step that back just a little bit, and the knee's gonna go down. I bring that leg, that foot, a little bit behind me, go into this windmill position. Good. Here, I'm just bringing the kettlebell up and back a little externally rotated in the shoulder. Doing some circles. Big expansive breaths here too. Clockwise, counterclockwise, switch it up. So approximately 5 each side. And if you want to, you're not feeling it too much, you can go down to an elbow here. Maybe even just for a hold. Forget the circles. If it's too much, don't worry about it. Now, I should have talked about this on the way down. We'll talk about it on the way up. My tendency is to arch my back. Don't do that. Tighten your belly. Push your weight forward. Kettlebell's gonna pull behind you as I'm pushing my weight onto my hip. I'm gonna spiral this left hip in towards the right, getting that hip to bear all my weight, not the knee, not my back. And I'm actually gonna do this little spin move at the top. That forces all that rotation into that hip. Same thing going down. I'm pushing that hip back, drive my weight forward to keep that hip. And that looked probably much better than it did before. So let's press up. Throwing my weight forward a little bit. Onto the hip. Getting that hip to do the work. Some of the muscles we're hitting there to get to work are the adductor and the psoas, which hinge the hip back a little bit. Get our center of gravity over top of that hip. Feel much better actually. Let's do the left side. Change up the angle. I'll face you straight on this time. So if you're not good with the snatch, take it to the rack, do a press. I like a couple snatches as a warm-up. I don't think anybody really just starts with a snatch. It's always good to go into this rack a few times, feel it out. Takes a few anyways to get the sloppy snatches out of the way. Once you feel like you got a good stance, good overhead position, good stretch already, then we can take it back. So remember, opposite leg. Stepping back. Probably wasn't as pretty as it should have been. Very close. Knee is close to heel. We're gonna bring that foot a little bit behind. Lock that elbow out. Strong overhead position. You're in a windmill, I'm leaning it back. If your shoulder hurts at all here, it's sharp, stabby, just generally painful, shouldn't be, should be uncomfortable. Back off it. You might need to hit the stability workout instead. Some people have really great mobility. Overhead squat is a good test, and we're going to get into that a little bit. I'm terrible at overhead squat. I spent a lot of time working on my stability. I'm not saying everyone should hit stability first, but that's what seemed to do the trick for me. Uneven grass here. It's okay, I think it got me a little deeper stretch. Tightening. So what I'm doing is bring that foot back, allow this hip to roll in. See, I'm hinging that left hip back, strengthening that overhead position, really getting that stretch and that lat muscle, that pec, pulling, 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 and then driving up. Good, shake it off. Whew. Nice and loose. Problem with a lot of the stretching is we need to build strength as well. Yeah, we're using a weight. We could say it's strength focused, but we also want to use explosive movements to explore mobility. And we'll get into that in a second. We'll do one more little stretch routine. This one was always harder for me. We'll switch back to the right. I think I picked the most uneven grass possible today. Goes how it goes. So, really similar. We're gonna snatch it up. Go right hand. Should feel looser even doing that now. Not gonna feel the need to do a bunch. Same leg's gonna go back. So right hand, right leg. The kettlebell really helps pull you into these positions. Now we're gonna take the left hand right by the left foot. No circles here. Just slowly going overhead. Let's do about 10 breaths. Each exhale, bring it a little higher. Just inching. See, I'm slowly trying to work it up. Getting that stretch all the way down to my pelvis, down my back. Keep that hip tight, same way before. Right hip's rolling in towards the left. Now the left hip is doing the drive. One, I guess you could if you wanted to. The other one you probably see people do with a Turkish get-up. That windmill we did before is actually the mid-stage to the Turkish get-up. Feels really good. So yeah, even down here, the lat attaches, lat here in your lumbar, it also goes to your pelvis, all the way up to the shoulder. It's an internal rotator, so we're trying to, it also packs the shoulder down. Some people have very weak lats too, so you might not feel the stretch. Stability might be the name of the game. I feel like I'm pointing everybody to stability today. If you're just a stiff old man like me, mobility might be a good place to start. Let's change up our angle again. Face you guys. Nice hinge. Always work on your mechanics of getting the bell off the ground. using kind of that momentum of the bell to increase that shoulder range of motion. Shouldn't hurt. Take left leg back. Right hip is doing the work. It's hinging me down. Really press overhead. That kettlebell helps drive this right hand down to the ground. 10 breaths. A little tighter on that side, so a little more. Really get it behind you. Mine loves to drift forward. Bring it back. Rotate left hip in towards the right. You can feel that little pinch right in the inside of the hip socket. That's how you know the hip is turned in, it's activated, and we can use it to press the ground away. I always feel my knees after if I don't do this right. Do a lot of Turkish get-ups, they get sloppy because the knee ends up doing too much work to push you up off the ground. Same thing could happen with your squat, where it's really loading one leg over the other. Essentially, it's a one-legged squat. Whew. So that, you can do as many times as you want. Here's a little thoracic mobility trick that you're probably gonna hate. You'll probably need a little towel to give you a little bit of cushion. Kettlebell works fine for this. I actually prefer a weight plate, I know, surprising. But put your mid back, wherever you're just kind of feeling, generally a little sticky in the mid back. Right on top of that, we're gonna bend the knees. Just go overhead, we're stretching those lats. Oh, not trying to get to the ground or anything. Keeping that core really tight. You can hit different positions. Well, it doesn't move as much. Maybe that's the direction I'm supposed to go. Let's try that out. There we go. That feels more pinned to the ground. Can't think in the morning. I was feeling one of these thoracics last night. Sometimes you get a nice pop. That's not what we're going for. Just making changes in the tissue, a little stretch. Keeping my neck straight as I can. Not trying to lean back, not trying to go forward too much with it. Yoga mat or something might help keep this from slipping too. It's a slide here. Could have done this in the grass, but I don't want to get my butt wet. Good. So you can repeat all that if you really need to. But let's go ahead and move into some exercises. So there's gonna essentially be two overhead types of squat we're gonna do. I'm gonna cheat here, elevate my heels with this pavement so you can roll up a mat and do the same thing if you want to, because ankle mobility is something I need to work on too. But if you got a bunch of surgery like I do, go ahead and cheat today. Nothing wrong with that. A little external rotation of the hips. That's best for the squat. I'm actually gonna go ahead and get this in the rack position first. It's gonna help drive me down to the squat. Do 10 or 5, whatever you can feel like you can do. Just gonna press. Yeah, that right shoulder. Big breaths. This left side, so much easier. 3, 4, 5. So pay attention which side you don't like. Maybe you're good today. For me, right was so much harder. Sorry, I thought I lost my mic. Whew. We'll take a break from that. If you only got one kettlebell, I'll show it this way. But you can always do a double kettlebell, going for a deficit on the push-ups. So, wide as you're comfortable doing, maybe slightly uncomfortable. 10, 5 each side. The goal, the right side, is to really get that pec minor to stretch. Scratching up my kettlebell. It's wobbly too here, which might help you with your stability a little bit. Really got to pin that guy down, force you to put a little more weight on that left side. Again, so much easier. I think I actually did 6. Left side is winning today. So we'll do one more exercise. I'm gonna go back and only hit sides where it really felt weak and tight. So exclusive of the right so far. So I prefer this as a double kettlebell over snatch. If you got a barbell, might even prefer that more. Start with the weak side here. So if you're not good with the double snatch, don't do it. Go right for your rack. Give a little bump. Press. So I like to start legs together. Step off to the side. Squat down. Come up. Kind of take it one at a time. That felt really hard. Let's switch up the weights. Kind of feeling out for what makes me weak. So check the other side. Stepping off to the left now. Go first. Should probably do that. Big step. Good. Not as bad. Felt that left arm given, but that was a heavier weight. That ability to go back behind the heads is really important. That's what all this is working up towards. So it's okay if you're feeling like me. If it's really easy, there's like I still have shoulder pain. Mobility might not be the issue. It might be stability. So there'll be another video for you on shoulder stability coming soon. We'll repeat that. Go ahead and keep them this way just to explore some more. Right for the snatch. Step off to the right. It definitely felt easier. Let's step left. Oh, snatching just brought them into a better position than the press. Eventually, if it gets super heavy, you'll see people they combine the motions, right? They got their barbell as they're coming up. They're squatting to get underneath. For me, it's, I lock up in that position because they want to be receiving that bar down here with the arms open. I can blame the chiropractic I do every day, but just not doing enough work. That's what this is all about. Getting those arms to come back to that position. For you, it might be just 1 or 2 sessions in your back. For me, it's been a struggle of years. A lot of degenerative patterns and changes in the tissue. Not gonna fix it in just a couple stretches, right? It's dropping the buckets a little bit every day. Working up towards it. Do that one more time, we're gonna switch it. Probably gonna notice this is harder, let's see. And then we'll repeat the weak sides. Haven't really found out which side is weak here yet. That's why I want to do this again. Don't always assume it's the same side every time. It's going to change, even if it's a slightly different exercise. That felt pretty equal. So I think it's just a general weakness overhead. A lot of things keep working against you here, and it might be the shoulders. It might not be the shoulders, but it could be the ankles, it could be the hips, lack of spinal stability, lack of shoulder mobility, it could be the neck. So many things working together. That's why we like these whole body exercises. We're attacking so much at once. So if I had time, I'd probably go through all this again. But we're just gonna do right side. This is a Zelter squat, I think this is what it's called. Don't quote me on that. It's a squat and a press. Simple, right? It's funny, right? Because it gets almost a little easier. You should be getting more tired, but the more you actually break up restriction, you can move more fluidly through the motion. Actually gets a little easier. Yeah, you're a little tired, so it's hard to gauge. That felt easier. Let's do some push-ups. I'm just gonna demo what this looks like. I'm sure you've seen this before, but just another way. Problem is, I like attacking one side because I can tell the difference. I can tell that the right arm is much harder than the left. Here, you might not notice as much. You might even see me shift a little bit left to right. I guess I could kind of force it like that. Well, I should have forced it the other way. Force that right. Or just go straight down. Oh, ooh, definitely burnt out. Inch him in a little bit. Sorry, gotta breathe. Five, one off to the right. Oh, that's hard. Oh, that's hard. All right, we'll finish with, let's do 4 overhead squats. Actually, we'll go for 8. I'm burnt, but this is my weak one. If it annoys you with 2 different weights, this one's a 45, this one's a 35, so it's not significant, but as long as you keep switching, it might actually expose a weakness. I like loading one side over the other, as you can tell. But if it bothers you, I understand. Just chin back, just hinge the hips. I like that, going right to the double snatch. Even though it's harder, gets a better overhead position, gets that lockout just a little bit better. So 4, then switch for another 4. Maybe we'll give you another angle here. Still trying to figure out which is harder. It's hard to say. It's probably good. Ooh. Just got so much crunch there. Right shoulder popped, thoracic released. I was trying to get that release all last night. Working. All I had to do was a little lengthening and everything moved in easy. Sometimes we're just so locked up, we just need to move. You don't need to go to the chiropractor. Yeah, get your crack dealer, right? People get addicted to it. So there's a subliminal message here in the shirt. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, give you another angle of that hip hinge, load in the swing. That was a crappy snatch. Get that overhead position. That's it. I'm done. Do that as many times as you need. Ooh, sweaty. Sweaty in Pennsylvania this morning.